Perfect. All right. Yeah, let's just get into it. So, like what's the problem not just in Ethereum, but in crypto space in general? Like new people have no idea where to actually find useful info. Like when they ask you where do they go, you can send them like to Reddit, to like ethereum.org. Like, I don't know if, I mean, it looks better these days, but it was pretty bad at navigate, like helping people understand the space. And so they have no idea actually where to go. And even the people who have been here for a while, they don't really know where to go when they want to start a project. Where do they find all the useful information about different frameworks and tools? Where do they find the people to help them build the project? Where do they get the funding? And yeah, overall, there's no really good onboarding system or place for projects to stay in sync, other than Twitter, which is like a constant stream of high noise. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of a mess. And when I first joined the Meta Cartel, it was funny seeing the same problem inside a small organization. And so I tried solving it inside the Meta Cartel, but then I was like, if I'm solving this problem, why not solve it for the whole Ethereum space? Why just solve it for one DAO? And so that's kind of what I went with. And there we have a MetaGame, a massive online coordination game. So it's kind of like an MMORPG for real life. So you get the players and guilds, and like guilds are just collect like groups of people that either have a project or like offer services to other projects or offer funding. So we need some kind of maps and guides for the people to find their place and find all the things that they need. Just lost sound. Are you guys still hearing me?
Yeah, yeah, we hear you. We hear you. We just
Hearing. All right, perfect. So we got the roles and skills, so the people, yeah, can recognize each other, what do they do, and find other ways to like advance themselves. We got the quests and challenges and raids for the people to, yeah, find the things that they could be working on, whether they are like small tasks or long term projects. Some kind of titles and achievements, so you know who did what. And yeah, and a way for players and guilds to offer services to each other and products going forward. And so one thing that games are really good at, like, is helping people navigate complex environments. And there's no better systems at helping people get through complex environments than games, basically. And one thing about games is they also serve a bunch of other purposes. And so this guy named Yukai Cho, who studied like behavioral economics and psychology and was really into gaming, found these eight. He calls this the octalysis framework, and basically finds a combination of these points in every good game there is. So when you start the game, it gives you this a big story of how you're here to save the world. Then it gives you something to work on, like to feel accomplishment. You feel empowered through getting feedback, like when you level up and things like that. You build your character, collect items and whatnot, so you get this sense of ownership. You get a community that you can relate to. There's scarcity and impatience, so the game is not too easy. There are things to collect, and you can't just get in and get it all at once. There's unpredictability, so you don't know what's going to happen next exactly, and you don't want to stop playing the game because you lose all the progress. And yeah, it's kind of a sunk cost fallacy, I guess. But the problem with all games is that this is still kind of like, it's still just all for fun, just vanity. And if you apply this to the real world, then you can have all of these. And like in this case, the epic and meaning is not just like imaginary; it's real world. And so that's the kind of what you're starting metagame with, is to start breaking down these silos between different organizations and just between the people who have the knowledge and the people who are new to the space. We want to build this resource hub for these people and build this decentralized factory where people can, yeah, find projects to get together, work on them, yeah, exchange services. And yeah, the meme of this is basically to do to Web3 what Henry Ford did for the automobile. So we get this sort of like you can start a project and then the project sort of lives on its own, and other guilds can go around it and service it. And with time, we establish this sort of a web of opportunity where no matter where you live, like you can access opportunities and earn equity without like having to move to the Silicon Valley.
Yeah, that's the most
Yeah,
important things. I mean, so
yeah,
the the most important things of our days. I mean, so try to have entrepreneurship and innovation from all around the world, and not just in Silicon Valley from financial things, because we are a worldwide financial environment, and that's,
yeah,
I think, very, very
yeah,
important.
absolutely. Yeah, not to mention that in Silicon Valley, like since it's like really privileged place, then the applications that come out of that place usually tend to be applications that serve like the people that are already privileged. And when you give the opportunity to like the third world countries, they tend to like their startup makes they tend to make startup there that solve like actual problems that are like to make the
Yeah,
lives of the people that already live great even greater. And yeah,
yeah, but that's a point, because I was in Silicon Valley a lot of times, and the thing is that, for example, for entrepreneurship, but that's normal if you think about the situation there. It's normally that investor there or VCs funds there, they invest in people that have a green card, or I mean in the early stage, or they can be there because that's what's the old system and how it's worked. So I totally agree with you about this point. Totally.
yeah, I can know that because you are building the DFO hub, which is kind of pretty similar to metagame.
Yeah. Well.
Sort of establishing this place where like these flexible organizations that people can come in and do stuff.
Yeah. I think it's good to share the same goal, and uh, obviously we are here to help in everything, because I already read about metagame and all of these things. So that's cool. Sorry, continue with your conversation. We can
No
talk
worries.
after.
Yeah. Same goals, different approaches, which is exactly what we need to find the best approaches.
Yeah, that's innovation basically.
Right, and we get these basic challenges which comes with building these like things in a decentralized way. Like how do you herd people without a chain of command? Like you can't threat them with firing them. How do you crowdsource resources in a trustless way? How do we measure impact of people's contributions? How do you distribute the resources fairly? And how to make decisions without the CEO. And here we get the basic structure. And you, like, if anybody's familiar with source code, they can already know like how we solved a lot of these problems. But yeah, the basic infrastructure that we're using is just GitHub, Discord, and the forums with source code. So source code is used to track all the contributions that are happening inside these three platforms. And then we had an additional system for adding things that aren't like really properly valued through GitHub, Discord, or the forums. And then on the Ethereum side of things, we use Treebox for the basic identity. We use Aragon for token minting, and we use Balancer for making the tokens exchangeable for Ether. And that's sort of the core of our economic system. So we have the building coordination tools, the value tracking system, and a way to distribute these rewards and yeah, allow people to trade them for real money. And what we are doing with this is building the basic projects. And the first one is the meta library, which is supposed to be a wiki for people who are trying to find a place not just in metagame but like in Ethereum in general. Right now, the our wiki is just called the metagame wiki, but yeah, it's supposed to be called the meta library because yeah, it's not just about metagame. And the first project that we built is these my meta profiles. And I didn't add the third one because my meta is kind of finished by now. Yeah, I adapted this from an older presentation, which always has these drawbacks. And yeah, metagame has the basic participants, which are players and patrons. And players are just the people that are building metagame, and the patrons are the people who are like, yeah, metagame is awesome, but I don't have time to contribute. So the patrons buy the seeds, which are our tokens, from the players who create them. And then we got the guilds, which are, as I've already said, can be projects, can be services, or can be funding guilds. So yeah, research guilds. These are just three examples, but there are a bunch more. And the alliances, which are just groups of guilds. And this is currently how it works with most DAOs. There are still command and control systems because people vote on decisions. So you have a lot more people voting on what needs to be done, but it's still like command and control because it's the decision still comes from a place that isn't from the people who are actually doing things. Things move slow because you have to vote on things. You have these fixed reward allocations, and the funding always flows just from the central treasury out into the members. And with our system, the building is decentralized and permissionless, so anybody can just come in and do things. They don't have to wait for approval on a proposal. Then the resources flow dynamically based on what the community appreciates, and they can signal that either to on Discord. They signal that with emojis. On GitHub, that is signaled by people building on top of what you build, and yeah, things like that. And yeah, the funding loops back to the source of value creation. And yeah, that's the basic system that I've explained. Is we have the XP, which is the source code, which is running on source code, which is used to track the player progression. You do things, you like operations, design, development, and all of that. You create value basically, and you get rewarded. And the good thing is that it flows retroactively. So like if you create a design system, then you get rewarded now, but then later in the game, as other people use your design system, they also keep flowing the credit back to you. So yeah, when you set the foundations, like whatever is built on top of it always flows the value back to you. And yeah, that's pretty cool. And so the seed tokens, as opposed to like the ICO model or even the token farming model, is that the seeds are not a promise of future work, but they can only be created by past work. And they are minted through Aragon, distributed on a monthly basis based on XP. They are instantly liquid, and yeah, you can sell them or wait some more. Then, like things that you should be able to do with seeds. So one of the first one, which is the main point, is taking on direction, which is the source code feature of boosting. And the cool thing about this is that you can see projects that you think that should be done, and then you use your own tokens to boost the tokens to make to add additional incentives for the people to complete this quest. And you can do this for the quests that don't even exist yet. So you can add new quests, you can boost them with your seeds, so you can incentivize people to complete them. And then after that, if the community finds it valuable, then the tokens flows back to you. So you can speculate on the next steps of organizations and not just on the organization as a whole. So that's pretty cool, like internal markets. And yeah, source of income for the people. They will be used for the membership dues, for yeah, tipping other people, staking for guilds, because yeah, the guilds will need to stake so that they are guaranteed not to screw people over. You will be able to pay for services on the seed market, create new quests, buy digiphysical items, and collateralize your reputation, or stake for contracts that you like take in your work, take when you take work from the market. So yeah, you need to stake, because one thing that it was advised to us like very early on is that we really shouldn't have a system where people rate each other on like a 1 to 5 stars or anything like that. And so that instead of that, just have a staking system and like no actual rating. because yeah, that can turn dystopian. And these are the my meta profiles, but this is just a design. And you can see the player cards, you can see the skills that the player has, the contact, the gallery. You have these most important bits, which are the role, the time zone, and the availability. And these buttons are like the call button is supposed to open a prompt where you get to set a contract between you and the player, so you can like specify what you need from the player, and you can add some ether or seeds to the escrow. And the trust button is sort of like add as friend but with skin in the game, which I will get back to in a bit. We have these memberships, which are membership in different DAOs and organizations or just guilds. We got the achievements and the activity feed, and you can see the profiles are supposed to have like custom backgrounds. And this is the current version of the profiles, not so flashy and not fully functional, but yeah, we got the skills, we got the player types, we got the NFT gallery and the membership. So all of these work. Actually, yeah, all of this works except for the collab and trust buttons, which are the next big features. And the future, we get this socioeconomic web of trust, where you have your reputation, which is not actually like counted in a score, but instead you have either have a personal token that is collateralized by seeds, or your profile itself is staked on. So your friends, when they add you as a friend, it costs them money to because they need to stake on you. And so yeah, in case that people like report you for scamming them or something, then the people who staked for you lose their stake. And these are the guild pages which we just added. Like actually, we haven't even added the full profiles. These are just the player cards that lead to the websites. So this is still fairly early. And these are all the guilds that are currently part of MetaGame. And actually, these bottom two are alliances, but we don't have an alliance system yet. So I just added them here as guilds. And Metacartel is basically a funding alliance that has like 50 member organizations and more than 100 people. Bloom Network is something similar to Metagame in that they're trying to create a better world, but they're not focused on technology, but on like directly solving the problems. And they do a lot of great things like mitigating hunger in like when in some countries where they have these problems, and like direct response and fighting climate change and whatnot. Penwola is a funding guild, uh, which will also be more like an alliance than a guild. And they serve organizations in the Ethereum space. They give grants. And Metagamma Delta is a woman-led DAO, which also gives grants to different projects. Then on this second layer, we got the Raid Guild, which is a service guild, and you can bring a project to them, and if you have the money, they will just build it for you. If it's a great idea, they will probably still build it, but it's going to take a lot longer. We have the One Hive, which is similar to Raid Guild, but they're more focused on building their own projects than serving other guilds. We got Design, which is a collection of designers and artists. Deep Work, which is a product design studio. Build Guild, which is similar to Raid Guild again, and led by Austin Griffith, where he's teaching new builders how to work in Web3. And then we have the token engineering and the Fire Ice, which are more like on the tokenomics side of things and governance and that kind of advisory. And on top of that, we have the actual projects. The first is the DAO House, which is a DAO launcher and explorer. We have the Mooney, which is the decentralized crypto to fiat, which like sends you can go directly from seeds to euros in your bank in like the interface looks pretty much like Uniswap, and there's no KYC. We got common stack, which is building a suite of tools like from augmented bonding curves to, I don't know, many things. We got the Meta Factory, which is a decentralized brand factory where people can come in and either submit their own designs, which can be printed on a lot of high quality products, or other guilds can use the Meta Factory to start their own shops. We got SourceCred, which is the system that I've already explained, which we use for tracking contributions, and then MetaGame, which is what I'm explaining right here. All right. And some of the things in MetaGame have been inspired by this donut economics, which is made by this woman called Kate Raworth, which is a big critic of our current economic systems, which are focused on GDP growth and instead of actually solving the problems. And you can see the actual problems on the outside and on the inside, and you can see like on the outside are the problems that we are doing too much of, that we should decrease, and in the inside are the problems that we are not working hard enough on also. But yeah, shortfall, overshoot, and the green space, the safe space for humanity. And you will see why I'm showing this in a bit. I'm going to show you this meme first. So we get the do not economics, which is the just the growth of GDP on infinitely, and we got the donut economics, which is good. And then we get the Homo economicus, which are like the Austrian economics people, which are like, yeah, it's all rational self-interest. And you can see the difference between these people is like the Homo economicus thinks the success is just having a lot of money, while the meta sapien thinks the success is the betterment, the mastering skills, mastering knowledge, living in balance, positive impact, being happy. Thinks wealth is money, thinks wealth is time, family, friends, health, and money. And yeah, Homo economicus sees himself as an individual, while the meta sapien sees himself as part of a bigger whole. And these are just some of the memes we have. We have lots of memes. And you see how the donut economics inspired the metagame, which we are using to show our to yeah our to map all the raids that we are working on. Which yeah, I can go into all of these raids later if there's still time after the presentation, which I think there should be because we got a lot of time, and we do have a lot of raids too. And yeah, a lot going on here, but yeah, we can get back to that. And the main thing that we started working on, yeah, after we built the my meta profiles, and yeah, one thing that I didn't explain about the my meta profiles, which I've shown previously, is that the profiles are not being built just for metagame, but the profiles are supposed to be used by other organizations for like membership directories and for whoever wants to have their own profiles, which is why it's going to be focused on so much on customization, on like the custom backgrounds, and yeah, so that other people and organizations can like tailor the experience to their own branding. And then we started working on the actual platform itself. Like, don't mind this really shitty dashboard because this is just a wireframe which I've just made so that people can understand what the hell I'm talking about. And on the left you have this journal, which is supposed to be a journal of the all the quests that you completed or the XP that you're gaining. And also, like, when you log in, the game is supposed to ask you like how are you doing and things like that, which are also supposed to get logged in this journal. Or if there are goals, they get logged in into this goals bar. And then the basic dashboard itself is supposed to be showing your current XP, your like XP gain this week, and the seeds price. Morale is captured through the questions that people answer when they log in. You get the basic like the carbon footprint. And yeah, still need to figure out yeah, what else needs to be here, and we need to get somebody to properly design this because yeah, I'm not a designer. And you have this, yeah, the navigation bar with all the most important stuff, and you open it, and it opens you into a familiar app drawer, and then you press any of these apps, and it's supposed to open them inside a window. And this is all supposed to be, yeah, so you open a window, and then okay, you like the window, you decide to pin it, and it's added to your dashboard. And this is supposed to be all be inside a web browser, so it's kind of a virtual OS, calling it the Meta OS. And yeah, this is how it's supposed to work on mobile. And it's still just my crappy design just to get the point across. Still need like proper designers and everything, but yeah, you get the idea. And this is the timeline. So we got the XP and seed system works. The seed market is fairly stable. The my meta profiles have been built. We have the first 150 players, which is, yeah, we limited it to 150 because we wanted to limit it to the numbers number, because we wanted to, yeah, have a community of people which are like closely connected, and not just a huge number of people random from the internet. And it helps with a bunch of other things as well. And yeah, we reached this cap like almost 2 months ago. Then we got 50 patrons, which are still well under the cap. We got the 14 guilds, which is also like the cap for the first version, which we wanted to. We had like something like 19 candidates, and we picked 14. And we got the three alliances. The first one was, as I explained previously, was the Meta Cartel. We got the Bloom Network, and the third one is the MetaFam, which is our alliance, because yeah, we have our own alliance because we are just participants in this game. MetaFam is also just one of the guilds, and yeah, right now people see this, people see MetaGame as our thing, because yeah, we are the ones, we are mainly the ones building it. But in the future, we want to make it more and more obvious that like MetaFam is just one of groups of people that are building the MetaGame, and which is that is exactly why we chose to have this distinction. So there's not just one thing called metagame, but there's metagame and metafam. And okay, and then the metasys, which is the, yeah, basically these three systems combined into one, which I'm still writing a post on, but I expect that in 2021, like a lot of the DAOs and projects in the crypto space will probably use some variation of this system. There's a hugely growing number, like exponentially growing number of people using source cred, and yeah, it's a matter of time because before they use the whole system. And we have the next season one launch today, yay! And so this was the great time to present it because it's happening exactly today. And let me drink a bit of water. All right. But this is just crypto space, and like the reason I got into crypto was because I saw crypto as a way to solve other problems. Like I didn't like the crypto is not the solution to everything. And just when I found Ethereum, it was like, okay, so this is like the core layer, like the core backbone for the socioeconomic system of the future. But yeah, it's just one of many parts, and just the first thing that we need built so we can start building the actual society of the future and solve many more problems. So let's zoom out of crypto and see bigger picture problems. The problem with the current world is that it's really optimized for profit, and you need to either optimize for profit yourself or you get crushed by competition. So you get this survival of the fittest, which is actually survival of the most savage, because as people, yeah, some people start externalizing costs to the environment, or they start overworking their workers and outsourcing their work to sweatshops. And then you have other companies that need to do that too, otherwise they will get, yeah, crushed by the competition in the market, and they won't be able to survive. And so what you get with that is the economies that are focused on maximum resource extraction, and the world that is completely focused on the wrong metrics of success. So success is money. Are we sure about that? And GDP growth is always good. Not so sure about that either. And yeah, we get the tragedy of the commons, which I don't have to explain. And yeah, it's a downward spiral. So, but then when you look at the common systems which tend to work, you get, for example, these eco villages have much higher moral standards. They are much more human focused, but they can't scale. Like these systems don't really scale well above the numbers number, and when they do, the scale tends to centralized, makes it more focused on self-interest and more prone to corruption. There's less transparency into what's actually going on, so you end up with less fairness. And the bigger it is, the more people start focusing on the metrics, which focusing on the numbers, on things that are quantifiable. And like, not all good things in life are quantifiable. All right, and what's the solution? Do we need to build a completely new socioeconomic system to warp the game theory incentives and make a system that is decentralized and transparent? Do we need to start a new culture? Need new measures of success? We kind of need all of that, and which loops us back to metagame again. Yeah, metagame, a massive online coordination game, as if I haven't told you that already. Which the goal is to change the way people coordinate around solving problems and creating value. So the what I've shown you so far is the phase one. So the phase one of metagame, a decentralized factory, is to build a hub for anyone that is interested in decentralized organizations, and to write and like bring into one place these guides and different portals to anything that you may need to build these projects, or find the people that will help you build these projects. And a place where you can just come in and work on projects, then you don't need to like apply for work, or write your resume, submit a CV. Like, you start your my meta profiles, you add some stake, and you just start doing things. Like, there should be the access to doing work is shouldn't be so difficult to overcome. And the goal is to build these connected tissues for the Ethereum space, and this basic infrastructure for a decentralized world. Then phase two, to summon the great flood, which will be, right now we are in the seed phase. So you can see this similarly to the seed funding round in the startup world. And once we enter the phase two, there will probably be a big fundraising event. And then the goal after that is to start focusing on things that are outside of the crypto, so we can find the people that are in other, at first, for the people that are from the other high level technologies. And so we can broaden the focus and start solving other kinds of problems. And we actually have some people that are like throwing in random knowledge from outside of crypto, which is like the permaculture, and how to make good gardens. And again, the goal is to make it so that anybody, like, make it really easy for the people can so the people can just get in, start solving problems, and get paid. And if they can't solve problems, that they will be guided to the skill trees, where they can find the things that they want to learn, and so they can learn them and then start solving problems and making money. And after that, it's phase three, the web of life, supporting thousands of people doing something meaningful, leveling up, making a living. There will be co-working, co-living spaces, some off-the-grid compounds and eco-villages. We actually already have some people in metagame who, one of them has a farm, one of them has a house. I'm also offering accommodations for free for the people that are working in metagame. So we got one place. Where is it in the US? I think it's like not Denver, somewhere there. And we got one in Spain and third one in Croatia. So these, as you can, as you can notice, these like all these phases overlap. So like these things that are in phase 3 can also be found in phase 1. But yeah, there will be focused on that when we get to phase 3. And yeah, make metagame really deeply meshed into solving real world problems and paying people to take part in ecological and philanthropic initiatives. Because yeah, crypto crypto is important, but yeah, it's not be all and all. And yeah, revolutionizing the world. Previously we had revolutions which were violent and bloody, that created power vacuums that, like in this case, turned out somewhat fine, but in a lot of cases it didn't. And now we have like revolutions that you can start from the comfort of your living room, and you have this little boy here working on his computer just like we are doing that. And yeah, just a bunch of young people starting a revolution over their computers. And the difference is that we will have new systems to put in place once they're not like, since the previous system is not overthrown with violence, then but by building an alternative, then that means that the alternative is already ready. uh, the meme of myself is how it started 2013. There is no plan, and now there is a vague plan. Yeah, we are getting there. And this thing which I kind of like to live by a good mission saunters past sane and steps into you can't be serious, by Peter Hintgens, which is a great guy, for one of the pioneers in the open source space, building big open source projects, or at least was. Rest in peace. And yeah, we got the metagame season 1 launch party. As you can see, the time that work for that are displayed in hopefully your time zone. If not, they will be easy to translate into your time zone, because we have 5 of them here, and the link where that will happen is right here. And yeah, that's it from me. Ready for questions and answers.
Hey,
Nice presentation. It's a lot of stuff.
yeah, I currently very like. Uh, uh, can I ask you to return in the in the slide?
The rules.
I have some couple of questions there. Slide with the difference from DAOs to meta DAOs. Yeah, it was in the beginning.
I would have just clicked out if I knew it was that far back. Oh, there it is. This one.
Yeah, yeah. I uh, I have some question about the how, for example, all of the things work about the. For example, you talk about the resources and and something about, for example, the treasuries that are more with different approaches. Can you go deep into that, because I didn't understand everything about this part.
Mm, yeah. So the way that most DAOs currently work is that they gather up a bunch of funds, and then as the work is completed, they send out these funds to the people. And the way that our system works is that you don't really need any funds at all, at least not to begin it. So when I first started, I was just like tracking everything that I was doing. So anything that I did was like, okay, I did 1 hour work. I put an arbitrary number of, okay, 1 hour of work is 10 seeds, and then a multiplier based on how impactful the work is. And I just tracked it through a Google Sheet in the beginning. And then we moved on to SourceGrid. And yeah, with the system that we're running on SourceGrid, is that the tokens are minted as the value is created. Well, not instantly, but you get XP, and then based on XP, you get the seeds token. And so you get the seed tokens, and then there is no treasury in any traditional sense. Like we have some money in the treasury, but the treasury, like the main treasury, is the balancer pool. So we just get people that are buying the seeds, buy them from the people who earn them, because yeah, they can all be created by work. And then those seeds are like either held or added to the liquidity pool, so that the people that are earning them can sell them again or whatever. And what is the other thing that I wanted to mention? I don't remember. I don't remember. But does that answer the question?
Yeah.
There will
So,
be an in-depth article about this coming out on Thursday.
cool. And so, how does, for example, this minting of tokens works exactly? So, you said before that you, for example, uh, show, for example, every hour of working and all of these things, but is this there is there is there is already a way to execute these things, or this minting is executing by because I didn't understood how this work. I mean, in tech perspective, not in
The
user
minting,
perspective.
the minting is manually executed. So yeah, Hamad just takes the results of the from the source code and then matches it up with XP and sends it out to Discord, where other people can validate it and
Okay.
see if there's anything wrong with it. And then we see like then we have a window of opportunity where people can be like, okay, my work didn't get valued properly, or this work got overvalued, so we can then adjust it, and then it's off to minting.
Oh, okay, understood. Yeah. So I my question is filled. I don't know if Vaza or CD have more questions.
All that I want to say was I want to ask about the Metasys DAOs was the how was complex in technical side and a smart contract side say doing something like that.
So the Metasys is not actually like a program of its own. It's just a combination of tools or a methodology, I guess. So
Okay.
the Metasys, like the core of Metasys, is just source cred with Aragon and with
Okay.
balancer pool.
The
Or
one
you can
you're
use a different. You can use any other minting tool. Like you don't have to use Aragon. You can mint your tokens with anything else. And yeah,
so it is there are no automation methods, just human interactions.
between source cred and Aragon,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
that needs to be automated for sure.
Do you think that it is possible to do something automated?
I
Like for
think
example.
so. Yeah, but we were the first people to actually even mint tokens based on source cred, and we were the first people to use it on Discord
Mhm.
So yeah, the tooling is still, and the source code itself is still in beta, so it's all the tools is still just
Cool.
coming up.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool. There is a bunch of evolution about this idea to reward for coding and things, because in our roadmap we are looking at something different. For example, to solve this problem that is about the tasks, and so it's something that, for example, with a sub.io or the DFO itself vote for create a task with its own reward, and once the task is finished, this create automatically a proposal, and when proposal passes, the code is executed, and so it's already part of the DFO, and the reward is good to the developers. But I think your perspective is more by something like a constantly reward for teams that join the developing. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting to see, because these are just to pay for tasks. Okay, so it's limited as a system, but this system to for example, a reward based on time or reward based on different things. I think it's very interesting to see the challenges there, and all of these things. Cool.
Yeah, I think the problem with your approach is that you always need someone who will be like, okay, this task is worth this much, and in our case, it always like depends on the outcome and depends on how much the community appreciates it.
That's
And yeah,
cool. That's cool.
and as you said, it doesn't really work for like long-term projects because you need to be constantly cutting it up into small chunks. And in this case, people can just cut it up on their own and just get paid as they complete.
Yeah. I think in the way that they can help people to have both the things, and they can use based on the perspective they have. Because, for example, our R&D is focused on, for example, the thing about that people can be anonymous, and so people don't need to know for example, who made this task, but the important is the final code. And but so I will be happy to see all of the integration between the DFO and the DAO space. So, for example, MetaCartel too, because I think we are very and in the beginning of something really like a new society, and I see in the future different organizations, different things with different technologies, and you can join one organization or another because it's I don't know, maybe both earning, both experience. So maybe you like to join an organization because it's kind of like quiz the game system, like the MetaGame things, or the Mitran things. And another talk we have after. And so yeah, cool. I hope you will continue with this amazing work.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, sounds good. I think we should definitely like set up a separate call and discuss different ways that the communities could work together
sure.
and see what projects make sense.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
And we have 10 minutes left, and so you want to say something before the end? Do you want to focus the conversation in something you missed or something you think is important?
Yeah, I could go through some of these raids, I guess. You just explain the vaguely what they're about. I don't know if people are able to see this at all, or should I open it in a new tab?
I can see it pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, you can read these things.
Most of them, not the ones that are
not the small ones.
Yeah.
The small ones don't matter so much. And yeah, so we got the meta library, which I already explained previously, which is supposed to be a library for people who want to build decentralized applications and decentralized organizations. We got the skill trees, which we will be working on with multiple guilds that also want this skill tree sort of system, where yeah, the idea is to map different paths that people can take depending on what's their background or what they want to learn. We got the achievement factory, which is for minting NFT achievements. So like when you do something good, you're supposed to get an achievement NFT. And it started originally as an internal project, but we wanted to make it obvious that it's not a metagame thing. So it's a DAO of its own. And currently, I think member DAOs are the Metagame, Metacartel, Raid Guild, and what was the third one? I think Lex DAO. And yeah, the idea is to start build this like the Nobel Prize of Ethereum, something like that. And then yeah, with time to focus on attestations and whatnot. The Meta Radio, which right now is just our podcast, which is actually our podcast is actually three podcasts.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we had one that was like the MetaView podcast, and the idea was that there are going to be multiple ones, so the multiple episode types. So the MetaView is about yeah the MetaView of this space and the world as a whole, and then we have the episodes which are about aligning with other guilds. And the third episode type, which we haven't started recording yet, is yeah like players of metagame. So interviewing like the player of the month and hearing what they're up to. And then we got two podcasts that are also already running, which is the Autonomous A and the Autonomous B, where the idea is that like each episode will have. So it started with with the first episode was with Magenta from Bloom Network, which was good because yeah, the projects are fairly similar, except Bloom Network is more focused on grassroots and non-profits, and metagame more on technology. And the idea is that that's going to be the genesis of two podcasts, the Autonomous A and the Autonomous B. And the Autonomous A will be focused on like solving the world's problems with technology, and the B is focused on solving the problems through grassroots. And the idea is that so I interviewed her, and then I went to interview Vinay Gupta, and she went to interview Nelson Melina, and then they will interview the next people, then the next people will interview the next people, and that's how it's supposed to roll. And then each interviewer pays the production cost of that episode and sends it to Metagame. We just released the first three episodes, so so that's already like three podcasts or more. And then the Meta Cartel, some people have podcasts, and other people in Metagame had podcasts. So the idea of Meta Radio is really to turn into a podcasting network, and that will also be a DAO of its own. And actually, all of these main raids can potentially turn into DAOs of its own. So we don't want like Metagame to be the owner of all the projects that start inside Metagame. Then we get the most important one next is the Meta Merch, which is about working with Meta Factory to start our own merchandise store. We get the villagers, which are yeah, the bots. We use them for a lot of things. The next huge thing, yeah, one of the next major things is about writing a bot that's supposed to be onboarding people and not just to metagame but to Ethereum space. Like I don't know if anybody remembers that what the fuck is Ethereum page, where it's like you select like whether you're a musician or like a financial background or whatever, and then it tells you what could be your interest of your interest in Ethereum space based on your background. And then we get the value feed, which started as I was thinking about how the news feed would work in this new system. And originally I wanted to start with something as simple as just having a like a public inbox of different newsletters, but that's like centralizing because people need to have a newsletter, and yeah, social media is supposed to be more about the people and more peer to peer. And so the idea with value feed is that it's just going to take the what's going on with source code. So what source code is already tracking, but instead of listing instead of indexing the top players based on their XP earned, it would be giving a feed of all the value that is being created on different platforms. So you get like direct connection between who did something and that being on a news feed, instead of like having the people who can create most attention for it, making it earning the most. And yeah, I had the idea because I was like, okay, so how would the news feed work? And I was like, okay, but Discord is like kind of a news feed to me because I get all of my news from Discord. But the problem with Discord is that it's so fucking noisy because you have the posts and you have the comments like all in the same feed. And so with value feed, we would just be indexing the feed by the amount of XP that it created. And yeah, you get the feed of value created, not just a feed of nice things being said. The journal, which I already explained previously, Metagame Lore, which is about like the story of Metagame. Metagame China is actually pretty interesting because we have this guy called Jason Yan, which is starting this entrepreneurial university in Beijing, and he wants to use the systems that use for Metagame for running the whole university. And he brought like 20 of his students to learn from us and to help us build Metagame. And then we get the seed market, which is supposed to be a place for the players and guilds to exchange products and services. We get the My Meta, then the Metaville, which is supposed to be like a phase 2 project, which is a spatial interface, which is supposed to be kind of like the like Farmville, but a lot more useful. So we want to make a game like interface, but make it as usable as like using a normal website. So we had this, I don't have this here, but like a house of MetaFam is like a house that you can walk into, and there are different spaces that are like, okay, this is the onboarding guide here, there's the DAO here, and yeah, all the most important things that you need in the organization, but yeah, mapped to a physical space. The XP and seed systems, which we gone into fairly deeply already. The meta maps, which is supposed to be like a decentralized mapping system. So we are going to migrate this navigation system into meta maps, and the meta maps will also be used for things like the trees. So it's kind of a whiteboarding tool, but focused more on making it interactive, not just to display stuff. And then finally, there's the platform itself, which I've already also shown you the designs for. And these are different applications that will be built on top of the platform.
MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace is just the idea that you should be able to customize it to your liking. So the dashboard, like everything that I've shown on the dashboard previously, the people should be able to remove what they don't like and put their own stuff, have a custom background, custom color scheme. And yeah, that's the idea with MySpace.
Yeah, that was one perk MySpace had over Facebook. You could change your background.
Quests like user quests, just quests, which is like quota, but in our space where people can ask questions and reward people for answering, like a place for people to debate things, a collaborative calendar app, which is something that we'll be working with Gnosis on. And 1 million seeds is just a fun little project, which is like, the 1 million pixels page, but for seeds. And yeah, I won't be zooming into these things, but those are the main raids.